Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And my name is Hằng Nguyễn from ULIS VNU. And first of all, I would like to thank you very much for coming to my talk at this very late hour after a long day. And I will try to keep my time well so that we can all go to the gala dinner on time. The title of my talk is A Journey from Learner Autonomy to Learner Empowerment, Transformation and Inspiration. I believe that in my talk, you will know much more than this as described in the title, because I'm going to condense 18 years of our experience of running this special program into about 40 minutes. And I'd rather not call it a success story, but a happiness story. So first of all, let's travel with me back to time in 2015 in Australia. This is grade 1 in Australia, and that's my son in his primary school. This is a picture of their project, and the day is the exhibition day at the end of the semester, in which groups of students will exhibit their product, the assignment, the project that they did throughout the semester on a certain period in the history of Australia. And with all the information they gathered, they will compose a presentation or a role play or a puppet show, and then it will be filmed. It was filmed, and then parents, when we came to this event, we were given laptop, iPad, and headphone, and we can scan the QR code to access to the presentation of the role play of our children. What impressed me most about education, primary education in Australia, was not just about these project-based learning, but the way they educate values and soft skills, transferable skills for the kids across the curriculum and reinforced through every single learning or playing activity. This is Israel in 2017. Two of my colleagues are here in this hall as well. And you still remember this. We visited a primary school again, and the grade 4 kids, including girls, they were studying robotics and coding. This is grade 10, an English lesson, and the students were showcasing their project. 2 weeks' time to prepare for this project, which is like this. The teacher would give each group of students a Facebook account, and the students had to study the person very carefully by looking at the post, notes, pictures, selfies, and also the notes that this person is tagged by other people. And finally, they have to come up with the report analyzing the strengths, weaknesses, or in terms of psychology, qualifications of this person, and make the final decision whether to recommend this person for the advertised post. And this is grade 10. And this is a futuristic program that we will introduce, and after listening to this, and we were all dreaming of becoming students again, because in the schedule here, we don't see conventional subjects like mathematics, literature, but subjects like leadership, emotional management, social skills, financial management, languages, etiquette, theory of knowledge, understanding about you and others. And those are my past experiences. And now I would like to share with you some interesting and innovative thoughts by some authors. This is the article from Professor Nguyễn Thu Lệ Hằng. At the time he wrote this series of articles, he was rector, vice president of Hoa Sen University. And now I heard that he has just been back to be the vice rector of Văn Lang University. Professor Tang worked in the US. And in his article about how young people can cope with the challenges in the 21st century, especially the 4.0 industry, then they will need the 3 keys to unlock creativity. Number 1, anything that is abnormal in one place is normal in another place. So they have to learn to accept change. Number 2, I don't know what I don't know. So they will get ready to change and refrain from the filter of the mind, from the blind spot. Normally, we know what we don't know, right? And we think it's already very important that we know what we don't know. But here, we don't know what we don't know. So it's our job as teachers to show them and lead them to the areas that they don't know what they don't know. And number 3, the third key is the ability to forget the learned and update the operating system. Here's the brain operating system, and unlearn. Like the operating system of the computer, we have to clear it from time to time to save space for other new stuff, and likewise the brain. These 2 famous people, you may have come across their sayings. The first one is Akio Morita. He was co-founder of Sony, Japanese Sony, and he said that they had to steer consumers to products they want, but they don't know yet that they want. That means they say that the public does not know what is possible. We do. We know the technology is possible. And the second person is Steve Jobs, with his famous quote, like, people don't know what they want until we show it to them. So I'd like you as teachers to put ourselves in this position, that identify what the students haven't known about, but we know that we are capable to help them to acquire those knowledge, skills, and competencies, and steer them, lead them to that. Another interesting book that I would like to share with you is The Hidden Messages of Water by Dr. Masaru Emoto. It's New York Times bestseller, series of 3 books. This is 1 book. And I like his relation that we should not block the water flow, because contaminated water will become dead water, and likewise the flow of the mind. And it's very interesting, these crystals, water crystal, that in his experiment, you can see the beautiful ones here. The above one is when we keep saying the word, I think it's love to the water, and the below on the left side is happiness, and on the right side is when they play classical music for the water. And this is the crystal, the water crystal of contaminated river and or lakes next to construction site. So you can see that the impact that we create to even water, so we can see how strong our impact can be to our learners. And now I will talk about literature, and the series of articles that we read in our research about the role of tertiary education in human resource training and the required skills and competencies reveal that employers will expect from graduates not just knowledge, but the ability to learn very fast, and a certain set of transferable skills like communication, teamwork, time management, task allocation, things like that, and certain attributes and values for specific jobs. According to a report, Future Work Skills 2020, these are the 10 skills and competencies that graduates would need to meet the expectation of employers. We have sense-making, social intelligence, novel and adaptive thinking, cross-cultural competency, computational thinking like a computer, processing a huge load of information at a time. New media literacy, transdisciplinarity, design mindset, cognitive load management, and virtual collaboration. And also, we'll look at the challenges of the 21st century and Industrial Revolution 4.0. And this is a very interesting forecast from the Institute of the Future, saying that 85% of jobs in 2030 haven't been invented yet. And they projected the 5 top jobs in 2040: virtual store manager, robot mediator, drone traffic controller, augmented reality designer, micro gig agent. So see the flexibility of the job market. And that's why, referring back to the picture in Israel, see how futurism or futuristic approach to education is adopted in Israel. And they introduce robotics and coding to primary school, preparing for the labor market in the future when the primary school kids graduate. And so Professor Trương Nguyễn Thành, in his article, he pointed out that there's one thing that human can outdo robots, because, you know, Industry 4.0, that means robots are taking over many areas of the job market already. And so what human can outdo robots? Imagination. Imagination is a connection between the learned or the known knowledges, and based on no fixed roles. For example, an example of imagination is the connection between a car and a bird into a flying car. And imagination, by referring back to the quotes of the co-founder of Sony and Steve Jobs, we know imagination will lead to creativity in ideas and thoughts, and to innovation by implementations and products applications. Now, all these stories, innovative thoughts and literature I have shared with you have scaffoldingly structured and reconfirmed our educational framework. And this is the educational framework that we developed for the program. We would name it the 21st Century Educational Framework, based also on 2 important frameworks. The first one is the Global Competencies by Professor Nukun Chai, President of Asian Institute of Technology. And second is the framework of 21st Century Learning Model that we will introduce in Israel. On the outer layer, we can see that if our graduates possess these competencies, they will be ready for the job market. The first one is international perspectives. Second is ICT fluency. Next one is innovative mindset. Next one is industrial relevance. And the 5th one is interdisciplinary competence. As you can see that here, 5 competencies here. Only one, industrial relevance, is, you know, the thing that directly relate to what we are doing now, preparing them with specialized knowledge for the job. But our graduates cannot acquire those 5 competencies. They will need lifelong learning after graduation. And so during the 4 years of university education, what we will do, we'll help them to develop the 6 components of critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration, innovation, creativity, and communication, by providing them with teaching a learning environment that fosters, first of all, learner-centered, personalized learning. And next one is engaging and empowering. The third one is interdisciplinary, and the last one is contextual. So in my examples later, I will, you know, illustrate this framework more for you. These are some of our projects, learning tasks, and activities. And because most of them were new, novel, and haven't been conducted before at my university, so we came up with original new projects and learning tasks. debate forum, scrapbook, inspirational speech, vlog review, writing portfolio, reading challenge, brochure design, Facebook post, creative writing, discovery project, persuasive speech, critical reading, and so many others. There must be some principles when we design these tasks and assignments and projects. We base on this educational framework when we design the whole program running over 4 semesters, bringing students from B1 to C1. And we came up with all these types of a variety of activities and tasks like this. And these are some pictures of snapshots of some of my students' showcases and performances. This is inspirational speech, which is the highest level of speech that we introduce in our program. The first type is informative presentation. Second one is persuasive speech, and this is the highest level, inspirational speech. Oh, sorry, the previous one, this one is debate, and this one is inspirational speech. And this one is simulation. These 2 pictures were taken the week before last. And as I said that we follow principles for designing tasks and assignments. These principles are like learner-centered and learning by doing, progressive as the increased level of difficulty, theme-based and genre-based. Theme-based because we want to address the requirement of the interdisciplinary competence. Skill integrated, diverse. We provide them with a diversity of activities, tasks, and assignments and projects, and which help them learn the language, but also use the language for a diversity of purposes, be it communicative purpose, educational purpose, or simulated professional purpose. And the last principle is socially contextualized. This is in line with our core educational philosophy based on social constructivism, that the learner's development should be put in social context, and knowledge is acquired via interaction. Interaction between learner and learner, between the learners and teacher, and between the learners themselves with the context, with the environment, and with the learning resources. And so these are the principles. Now, when we implement our tasks and activities and projects, we went through a long process from the beginning to the end, and I tried to visualize, conceptualize our progress into this model, and I would call it the CLC. It's the Vietnamese acronym for our program. It's Chất lượng cao CLC. It's CLC learning model. In the core of this model is a CLC educational philosophy, and the internal operational components, there are 4. And we need all these 4 components to make a complete cycle of learning, but not necessarily in any order. Sometimes we do 2 at one time, and sometimes we just focus on one component. But the first one is empathy and inspiration. This component, empathy and inspiration, it reflects our belief that as teachers, we should keep a human connection to the learners. We need to understand our learners. And in order to personalize their learning, we need to understand them about their strengths and weaknesses, and also the learning style and strategies that they are familiar with and comfortable with. And in this component, we need to, when we personalize our students' learning, we should be cautious, because some of them may choose to stay in their comfort zone. So what we do is we give them a push out of their comfort zone into the fear zone. Now, when we push our students into the fear zone, their motivation can be like this, right? So what we do is that we try to introduce all the guidelines, make everything very clear, orientation from the beginning. It's like something we say to our students, like, now, we are going to push you into the fear zone, but don't be afraid, because I will provide you weapons so that you can survive, and I will be there to make sure that you don't die. So that's empathy and inspiration, personalized, but also make sure that our students' motivation is high. And I think that after you've done this, after you have inspired the learners and showing them that they can own their learning, they can create something interesting, they can surprise the teachers, then the students will take care of themselves with their own learning. No, we will go with them throughout the process. And the next component is approaches, methods, and tools. This is very important because tertiary education, we teach them how to learn, how to work. So we provide them with approaches and methods and tools. What we do is we keep scaffolding for them. For example, in the third semester, they have an activity called simulation, in which 2 of them work as a company hiring for a position, and 2 of them will work as candidates applying for this position. The candidates would need to write a CV, an application letter, preparing a short presentation or a clip to introduce about themselves. So in the second semester, in our writing component, students learn to write CV and application letter. So we scaffold for them. In the fourth semester, we have the debate activity, a formal debate activity with 2 teams of 4 debaters per team debating over an issue. So in semester 3, we scaffolded for them and let them practice in the activity we call informal debate between 2 sides, not 2 teams, but 2 sides of the class. And in this informal debate, we allow students to come up with different versions of rules and procedures of debate. So we allow them to do that. And that's about the second. And the third one is empowerment and accompany. As I said, that we accompany them throughout the process. We act like a helicopter, you monitor their study, going with them from the very first step, like grouping or selecting topic, and along the way, they can negotiate with us to change the format, to change the topic, to change the roles, and we have to provide our inputs here. Like, for example, a forum. I never allow my student to select the role like young people. You are young people, then why do you need to act as a young people, right? You can choose old people. Okay, I can let you to be old people. So rather than that, they would have to choose roles, difficult roles like economists, lawyers, psychologists, depending on the topic of their forum. They would need to decide on difficult roles, right, like that. The last component here is assessment as learning. Assessment as learning, because all the performances, all the showcases in class are followed by a feedback session in which the students, first of all, reflect back on the performance, and then we provide additional feedback for them. And after that, they still need to submit report to us, reflective report to us, including the part called peer assessment, for us to see whether the members of the team were working equally and how well they allocated the task for team members. So every learning activity or debate, like for example, debate forum, documentary project, is like assessment, but as learning. It's a learning process, and there are 3 P that we equally focus on, is the process, the product, and the performance. Growth mindset here is what we always consider important, because individual learner will learn at their own pace and also learn with certain approach. For example, some prefer learning in isolation, so we have individual assignment. And some can learn well in teams, so we have group assignment. Flipped class or game, many other ways of learning that we try to provide a diversity of learning activities. And also growth mindset here, I want to talk about one thing which is also very important is growth feedback. When we give feedback for the students, we need to give them feedback so that they want to improve. That means they need to feel happy when they hear our feedback. There should be compliments on their achievements rather than just the things that they need to work on more, keep improving. Like in Israel, people say that you can learn from mistakes, but you will grow from success. We need to let our students feel proud of their products with their achievements. They're proud of their achievements. They own the learning experience, and they co-create the learning experiences with us, because we empower them to change, to negotiate, and even to fight with us about certain elements like the format, the procedures, even the topic, or even the assessment criteria. They can argue about that also. Okay, so when we run the program with every single activity and project based on this model, finally, we can help students achieve the expected learning outcomes. One thing I need to tell you here, that one condition for you to empower your students and learners is that teachers should be empowered as well. So we were grateful to our leader at that time who wrote the educational philosophy for our program and who 100% trusted us and empowered us so that we could do anything we want. We could think of any crazy idea and implement any unconventional idea in our program, just to make sure that students will be brought from B1 to C1. But more than that, we can also help them achieve 3 other sets of competencies needed for their future job, which is the lifelong learning kit and transferable skills. Our graduates can confidently join the labor market right after graduation. No, before that, after the 2nd year, they are center manager already, teachers already after 2nd year. Another is the values and attributes is what we really appreciate in the what the program can help nurture in our learners. These values and attributes, like for example, I still remember my son's experience in Australia with his school's values: be safe, be kind, be respectful, be ready to learn, and be yourself. And I think that these values are applicable to my students as well. And being an authentic teacher, I want my students to be themselves first, because I keep saying to them that the original is always better than the copy. And they need to be themselves first. And as in the inspirational speech, I introduced this activity, this assignment last year, and it came up that the students told the class stories about their dark sides of their life, a bad childhood memory, terrible childhood memory, and terrible teenager crisis. And after that, the bonding between the members was much better, and they were proud to be themselves when sharing this. So that's what I like very much about that activity. And the third set of competence that we can develop in our students is interdisciplinary knowledge. Although not very specialized and deep knowledge, but at least, as I often talk to my students, that you need to read and listen a lot to other fields. So we introduce themes like medicine, education, technology, business, history, entrepreneurship, social, global issues, media. And under this big theme, students have to select a narrow topic, not a commonly discussed issue. I never approve if they select something like zoos should be banned. That's well-discussed topic. Choose something like under environments, for example, GMOs and their impact on the environment, or we are the food we choose, something like that. So that's interdisciplinary knowledge. And referring back to the model, the 21st century, I cannot go back to this slide. One more. Yes, whoops. Okay, so we try to lead them, to steer them to the 5 competencies, like international perspectives. In the debate or in the persuasive speech, they practice critical thinking and developing their arguments in a critical way, so that they will develop these perspectives. They have to choose their own standing position. And interdisciplinary competence, we ask them to cover a great deal of topics and themes. Okay. And we are almost done. And this is an example of, you can look at the last column, that these are the things that I have to go through with them for just one activity, one assignment called simulation. I need to go through this one with them. And as social cognitivism theory learning informed, because simulation or inspirational speeches are new to them, so often we have to analyze the products of the first 5 groups very carefully, because students can observe these 5 groups and learn from the best things and from the good things from these 5 first groups. In simulation, for example, when I allow them, the company people, to create a website of their company, an introductory clip of the company, job description, logo, and slogan of the company, everything. And one group last week, they came up with, in the introductory presentation, they use QR code, and they said that, okay, if you scan this QR code to our website and to the profiles of our applicants. So I think that, oh, you are the first group who can do this. Oh, they feel very proud of themselves, and they own that because it's their trademark. They're using that QR code. And this is a certificate that I was given by one of the batches of my students. It's called Creator of Happiness. And I treasure this more than any other you say titles or compliments that I were given by the university or the faculty, because more than anyone else, I want them to feel happy with what they are doing, because only when you feel happy with what you are doing, then you have the motivation to do it better. Good is never enough, you know, good can be better and excellent. So I want them to have a happy journey when they learn. Ladies and gentlemen, when we choose teaching as our profession, and when we can nurture our learners' dreams, liberate their creativity, pushing their limits out of the comfort zone into the fear zone, then to the learning zone and the growth zone, and make them have a transformative and happy learning experience. At the end of the day, we can be proud of ourselves as educator. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Hằng, for your presentation. And
do I still have 4 minutes?
Yeah, we still have some minutes to have
show the clip. I would like to show you the clip. The pictures and the clips were taken by mostly me, but my student helped me to compile this video clip.
And any of you have, if you have any questions or comments, just get ready. We can answer some of the comments. So because the gala dinner is there and ready, we might come down late a little bit, but it will be time for QA.
So if you have any other questions, you can talk to me later during the gala dinner, but I really like you to see the clip.
Based on our research conducted in 2018, in the context of EWAS, aiming to find out the correlation between gender diversity and teamwork effectiveness of first, second, and third year students, we found out that EWAS specifically gives prominence to teamwork. This can be indicated from not only 28 clubs, but also approximately 16 organizations under the level of faculty in the university. Based on the mini survey, on average, the percentages of subjects involving group assignments were approximately 85% of all freshmen, sophomores, and juniors.
The President of the United States. I'm here today to declare a state of emergency of our nation. We are being attacked by scary creatures that are the products of our own intelligence, and we call it robots.
Hello everyone and welcome to Sweet Inspiration. I'm Crystal and I'm going to show you how to make a chocolate mirror glaze cake. It's sweet, shiny and irresistible. To get started, I'm going to make the cake's base. The recipe for this part is suitable for a 20 cm round cake pan. Now let's get down to work.
I'm sorry, due to a technical problem, we don't have the clip here.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for that too.
Yep.
But if any of you wants to ask any questions or comments, please raise your hand.
As a technique, I teach my students. If you don't have any questions, we can stop here. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right. And as an abbreviation and appreciation of your contribution to the convention, I would like to introduce and invite to the stage Dr. Bao Kham to deliver the certificate and flowers to our keynote presenter. Thank you. So that's the end of plenary section today.